Welcome all, welcome to this lecture of Object-Oriented Programming 1. Today we will try to finish our sets and maps unit 11. So let me show the disclaimer, then I will start the session. Okay, so we saw last time we saw various collections, right? Sets and maps. So let's see the examples. Hmm. Let me show you the example of hash set, links, hash set, reset. Okay, so see, if we start with hash set, check this out. This is how we add it. Mm, we had seen up to hash set 1 and 2, right? So let's start with hash set 3. Here we are creating a hash set of strings. We are adding some values to it. Then we see that this is the initial list of elements. Then we remove Ravi. So what happens is all this gets shifted up. And then we again display the set. Okay. Then what do? Check this out over here. We create another set, add some values to it, and add all the elements from that set to the previous set by saying set dot add all. Okay. And then we again display the set. Then we can remove all the elements by saying set dot remove all, and that match the particular set's elements. So all the elements that we just added sometime before are now being removed. So again after that you display the set. Best part is when you display the set in the println, it will automatically be displayed as a list of values in square brackets. Then if you say set dot remove if str, where str contains Vijay, so remove that particular string where that particular string contains Vijay, remove that. Remove if this condition is true, then we'll remove any particular object. Okay. Then you display the set. You can say set dot clear, which will remove all the elements available in the set. And then you display the set, that would be the empty set. Let me run this. So check this out. Here it is. This is the initial list of elements: Vijay, Ravi, Arun, and Sumit. Then you remove an object, saying remove Ravi. So all this, you can see that all this gets shifted. Arun and Sumit get shifted. Then you say update a list by adding two more. So these three were there. These two were from other collection, other set. They were added over here. And then you say remove all that matches a particular set. So these two are even now removed. So you can see they don't appear over here in this list. See that? And then you say remove if. In that you used Vijay. So Vijay is removed, and now these two are only these two are left. And then you say clear. So all of them are removed and it is empty. See that? It shows as an empty set. So, and let's see some more examples. See, here what we are doing is, here we are adding some elements to the array list. Okay, see, remember this is array list, not hash set. Okay, but now we can create a set from that list. You can say hash set string set equal to new hash set list. So from the list you are creating the set, and then you add something to it. And then you get the iterator and iterate over it. So if you run this thing, you can see Vijay, Ravi, Gaurav, Ajay are there. So this Vijay, Ravi, Gaurav were already there, right? We had added it from the list. Okay. Let me add one more Ravi to this. Okay. And we can even get the iterator for the list. This is the list. And then we will say that this is what the set. The list and the set. Check this out. We are here creating the list, creating the array list, adding some values to it, adding duplicates, and displaying the list. Then we are creating the hash set from that list, adding some more elements to it, and displaying the set. Let's see how it goes. Check this out. These are the list elements, and these are the set elements. You can see Ravi appears 2 times in the list. So list allows duplicates, whereas in set you copied this list and then you created the set. Okay, and you added this Gaurav also. You can see here basically there is no specific ordering also, and duplicates are also not there. Sets do not have order and no duplicates. Understand? Got the point? This Gaurav was added, but you can see it is at 3rd location. But sets do not have ordering, so we don't have to worry about it, whichever order it is. Understand? If you want ordering, then you use free set. As simple as that. Okay. So that is about hash sets. Now let's see linked hash set examples. So linked hash set example, in this linked hash set example, what do we have? If we say new linked hash set of string set equal to new linked hash set, we start adding elements. Okay, check this out. If we add a duplicate element, it adds or not, and we can iterate over it. Let's see that. No, it does not add the duplicate element. You see that? Then we have another example over here where we create a linked hash set of string, add some values wherein one is duplicate. So we just saw that is not allowed, right? So we don't need to run this game. Let me just run it. You can see duplicates are not there. As simple as that. Then comes this example, linked hash set example, and there is this hash set example also. We forgot to see that also. So check this out. Here we have this book class that we used previously, where we have some 5 properties and we create a book object from those properties. Okay, and we can even implement a toString method over here. Return. We have already added a book class into the unit 10 part, right? Yep, here it is. So let's copy this toString method. There it is. Now what we need to do is, everywhere we just simply need to print this B. That's it. So see here what we are doing here. We have a book class. We have 5 properties. We have constructor to create an object. It's a parameterized constructor, and we have toString method to print that particular object. Okay. And now in hash set, we create a new hash set of books, book objects. Start adding one by one book. We start creating one by one books and start adding those books. Now see, since it's a duplicate, it will not allow duplicate objects. If I add B3 again, it will surely, I'm sure it would not allow. I run this. Here I get to see only 3 books. Check this out. This one, 103, 101 and 102. That's it. 103 is not added again, you see. And since it's a set, there is no specific ordering. Remember that. So see, if 103 comes first, 101 comes second, 102 comes third. So that's fine. There is no specific ordering. See, you see that? So that is a set of books, and then we display it using for loop. Okay. Now we have another example of linked hash set, which has got again the same book class. Let me use the same book class for that. Okay. And here what we can do is, here we have book 2, right? Here we will use book 2. Okay. Same book class, we named as book 2. Now we have linked hash set. What we do is we create linked hash set of book 2 class, create 3 books, add those books to linked hash set, and then instead of displaying all those things, we simply display the book object. So let us run this. Let's see what happens. Here it is. See. Now since it's a linked hash set, you can see the order is maintained. 101, 102, 103. You see that? What else? Okay, what else is there? We have tree sets now. So let's start with tree sets. Tree sets basically, tree sets have what? Tree sets are ordered, sorted, right? And duplicates are also not that, since it's a set. So see, here we are creating a tree set of strings. We are adding 4 elements: Ravi, Vijay, Ravi, Ajay. So this Ravi obviously will not get added. It's a duplicate element. And then we get the iterator and iterate over it. Okay. Get the iterator and iterate over it. So let's run this. Check this out. Ajay, Ravi and Vijay. It is sorted also. The best part to see this is it is also sorted. Ajay, Ravi and Vijay. Right. Here we did not add it. We added Ajay in the last, Ravi in the first, and Vijay is second. But it already sorted it because this is a tree set. It sorts the elements inside it and does not allow duplicates. Understand? That is one of the main important thing about tree set. Tree set, here what we are doing is, here we are traversing the element in descending order. So we can say set dot descending iterator, and then we traverse through it. Okay, so Ajay is added in the end, but it comes in the top. But now it will run in the reverse manner. So we'll say I'll put the example in both. Okay, here what we'll do, here we'll say we are traversing in natural order. Okay, so let's run this. Check this out. Over here, what do we have? Here we traverse the element in natural order. You can see ARV, that's the natural order according to alphabets. And here it will be reversed, V, R and A. In this direction, this is ascending direction, this is in this direction in descending order. Okay, and since sets has this ordering, this descending iterator is possible. This descending iterator is possible to work on it. Okay. Then we have set 3, this example, where we do what? We add some elements to a set. So this set are of what? Of integer type, right? So we add some integers to it, and then we say highest value, set dot poll first and then set dot poll last. So polling would show you the what? Polling would show you the, would give you this, basically this poll first will give you okay, this is, it gives you an integer from this, because you can see what is the issue over here. It can add integer, but why is it not adding it? They are creating reset of type integer, so it should add this integer. Oh, it is running. Actually, we were not seeing it properly. It is running. Okay. We clear it out. Now let's run this. See, what we are adding is, we are adding 4 elements, 24, 66, 12 and 15. So it should be ordered in this manner, 12, 15, 24 and 66. If you want to see, you can iterate over it. Okay, we can get the iterator and we can iterate over it. Okay, so here we add the get the iterator. Okay, we need to get the iterator of integer type, and then we iterate over it, and then we see the highest value and lowest value. Okay, so check this out. You can see over here the tree set is sorted, and the highest value is this, lowest value is this. Why highest value? Because this is on the top and this is at the bottom, right? Poll first gives you the first thing, poll last gives you the last thing. Okay, so instead of saying highest value, what we will say is, we will say first, we will say last. Okay. In fact, this can be can be reversed. This is lowest value, this is highest value, right? Because it sorts the values in ascending order. So here we get what? Lowest value is 12, highest value is 66. Okay. Then comes tree set 4, where we add some strings and then we say that this is the initial set. Then we say reverse the set and set dot descending set. So the descending set would give the set. What does this return? Check this out. This basically, this descending set returns a set, which is what? Which is in a reverse order view of the elements contained in this set. But it provides a new set which is already reversed. Okay. Then you can say head set dot head set C. So head set method sets this new element to what? To the head of the tree set, right? It has got what? It has got two element and a boolean value. Okay, so it returns a view of the portion of this set whose elements are strictly less than 2 element. Okay, and the returned set is backed by the set, so the changes in the return set are reflected in this set. Okay, so let's see what happens when we say head set, and then we can even say subset. We can even get subset. So see, head set means a set which comes before this. Subset means which comes set that comes in between these, and a tail set means that set that comes after this. Okay, so let me run this and see. Check this out. This is the initial set. Okay, let me show you in this manner. You'll be able to understand. What we'll do is we'll put backslash in front of this so that this double quotes are get displayed as it is. And we are also putting each and every method call to come to know what exact sequence of what method call actually fired this particular output. Understand? Let's run this now. Okay, so here in front of us we do have what? We do have our set. Then we reverse the set by set.descending method and we get the reversed set. You see that? Then we get we say set.headset C true. So what happens is it gets the set. Okay. Here true means this C also gets included into the set, and head set means the set that comes before C, and tail set means the set that comes after this particular element C, and a subset means a set that comes in between these two. So here you are specifying subset between A and E. So subset between A and E, where you say for A use false, for E true, it means A is not included and the subset between A and E, where E is included, which is true. Understand? Here in subset, A is not included, this gets away, and E is included. So this B, C, D, E is there. This is the part. Similarly, you say tail set. After C, you get the tail set, and you say false. So C does not get included, and elements after C come. What if we include? We want to include C in the tail set. Let's say over here, true. Let's say true. So we run this now. When you come to C, and when we say set.tail set C comma true, C is also included. Previously it was not included, now it is included. Why? Because we have specified over here in this method that whenever you get the tail set after this element, you include this element also as a part of it by saying this true. Okay. So these are some of the methods that reset allows us to have. Okay, and you can see that these are very handy methods, very useful methods. But it generates a new set. Understand that part. It always generates a new set. The original set is not disturbed. Okay. Let's see how we can handle book objects with the set. There is this book class which we renamed as book 3 because there is already book and book 2 classes. I think we need to add here. Let's add this part only directly. Let's add this whole book class only. Here what we need to do is we need to replace book 3 with book 2 with book 3. That's it. And this reset example, let's see what we can do is. So we create a set of book 3. We are creating a set of book 3. We say set equal to new reset of book 3. Now we create 3 book objects. Then we add those to the set. And then we display using this for loop to display each B element inside the set, each book inside the set. So let's run this. Okay. Now see here, what does it say? Here says that book 3 cannot be cast to comparable and so here we need to have book 3 implement comparable so that it can be sorted. Understand? So that it can be sorted. Okay, that is very, very important. So let me show you what is comparable and comparator, right? That was one of the questions that you people had in mind, right? So check this out. Let's see what is comparable and then we will see comparator. Okay. Okay. Now see here we have a student class. Maybe this class does not run. Let me see. Okay, we have to add it to the source part. Okay. So check this out. We have this student class over here. let us remove it by student 1. So we have a student 1 class which implements comparable of student 1, which it means it can compare any object of the same type. And how would it compare? Check this out. It has got 3 properties: roll number, name, and age. In constructor, we are creating an object with these 3 properties. And we have compare-to method to be implemented if we implement comparable interface. So what we do over here in this compare-to method is a student 1 object is being passed, and obviously another object invokes this compare-to. So the invoking object's age property is matched with this parameter student's age, and if it is equal to that age, that is we return rate 0. If it is greater than age, then we say return 1, else we say return -1. So we are comparing two student objects depending on their age. You see over here, we have decided as a programmer that we will compare two different student 1 objects according to their ages. Okay, and accordingly we will return this 0, 1 or -1. So here what we do, see here we are creating a list of student 1. That's actually an array list. There we add 3 student objects. One is 23, one is 27, one is 21 age. Then we say collections.sort. So how will this sort the book objects? What it will do is it will see whether this student 1 class, is it a comparable object? Yes, we have implemented the comparable. So does it have compare-to method? Yes. So accordingly it will call compare-to method for each object, and accordingly it will compare it and sort it. Okay, and then we'll see, we can say for each student 1 inside this for loop, inside this collections AL, and that's inside this array list AL, access the student roll number, name, and age. So let's see what happens when we run this. Check this out. 21, 23, 27. You see that? This is how they are sorted. Understand? If we would have seen it before, let's say we would use over here something called as what do we say? We would say system.out.println what? Before sorting and then we would say after sorting. What would we say? Before sorting and after sorting. Okay. So let's run this. So before sorting, it was something like this: 23, 27, 21. That is the natural order that we had added. In this order, I think we had added 101, 6, and 5. Check this out. Yeah, 101, 6, and 5. Yes, you can see that's the order we had added: 101, 6, and 5. But what happens is, this is before sorting, the list before sorting. Once we sort it, you can see it has been sorted according to the age. This was the insertion order, and this is the sorted order. Okay, this is what? This is following the insertion order. And this is following what? This is following the sorted order. Sorted according to the age. If you would have sorted according to the roll number, it would have sorted accordingly that. Right? So that is comparator, comparable. You can compare two objects using compare-to method, and that compare-to method will be invoked when you basically pass that collection of that objects to this sort method. Okay. Now let's see what is comparator. Comparator is if your class has not implemented comparable, then also you can compare that class with the same type of class using comparator. Let me show you the example of comparator. So same student class, okay, we will have there is this age comparator we have where we have student class, okay. Now we have same properties for the student class, okay, and we say age comparator implements comparator for student. Now see, this is a different class which just implements the comparator for student. So what it will do is it will have a compare method where two student objects would be passed and it would return 1 or 0 or -1 according to that. That is, it will return integer. Understand? So compare to method also returns integer, compare method also returns integer, and compare to method is invoked by a comparing object and only one object is passed, whereas here in compare this is invoked by a comparator and two objects are being passed. Understand? And if that returns 0, it means the first object is greater than second object or equal to another object. If it returns 1, it means first object is greater than second object. If it returns -1, it means first object is less than second object. And how do we compare those two objects? Same, here we use the age to compare. Now we have implemented age comparator for the student. See, student class has not implemented comparable, so it does not have compare to method. Since it does not have compare to method, we provide age comparator which can compare to student objects. So how do we use this? Okay, then we also have another example called name comparator class. See over here. In this name comparator class, we provide a method called compare. So see, this name comparator also implements comparator for student. So it provides compare method. Two student objects are passed, and then we compare the names of those objects. We say s1.name.compare to s2.name. So accordingly, this compare to method of the string class will return 0, 1 or -1. Okay, it even returns -2 or +2 or something like that, right? So a positive value, a 0 value, or a negative value will be there, which will be returned by this compare to method, which will be in turn be returned by this compare method. So how do we use this name comparator and age comparator? Let's check that out. So this is test comparator class, okay, where we create an array list of students, okay, Vijay, Ajay, and Jay. Okay. Now you can see this age of this is 23, age of this is 27, and age of this is 21. So we now say sort by name, and let's see what happens. So for sorting by name, what do we say? We say collections not sort. This collection is passed, and a new name comparator object is passed. You see, a name comparator object is passed. So according to that name comparator object, this collection would be sorted. Understand? And then we display the elements. Okay, so we'll see that all the objects would be in the form of name sorting. Then we say sorting by age. Okay, and we sort the collections by passing that collection object and passing a new age comparator object. Okay, so here we have again display it out, so it will be compared according to the age. So check this out. We have sorted the list by name and sorted them by age. Okay, so here it is Ajay, Jay, Vijay, that is by name, and here it is 21, 23, 27 by age. You can see the what? The sorting. Okay, understand what's the difference between comparable and comparator? Yes, guys. So this is one of the major programs that you had to see. If we continue with maps, check this out. We have this map example where we again use the same book class. We are using tree map. And check this out, how we create a map for books. We say map integer comma book equal to new tree map integer comma book. So we have created 3 books, and now we add the books according to some keys. One is, we say map dot put 2 comma b2, map dot put 1 comma b1, and map dot put 3 comma b3. Now once we have put this objects, now what we do, we use the for loop by saying map dot entry integer comma book. We get the entry by saying map dot entry set. This entry set allows us to get each and every entry. So we iterate over this whole map using single entries, using each and every entry set. So once we have the entry, what do we say? We can say entry dot get key to get the key value, which is integer. We say entry dot get value, which is nothing but a book, and then we say key the details. These are the details of the book. So if we run this, you can see 1 details, 2 details, 3 details all are displayed. Got the point? So that is how it works. This is how it works. Okay. Understand? So those are tree map examples. Let me show you tree map examples also. Let me show you tree map examples also. We'll complete it fast. So see, this is a tree map where we have integer and a string. So here what we use, key as integer and the string as a value. 100 Amit, 202 Ravi, 101 Vijay, 103 Rahul. You can see the keys will be sorted. So if we get the entry set, we want to say we want to iterate over it. We say map dot entry m for each map dot entry in this entry set. Get the key of that entry and get the value. Let me run this. Check this out. Here you can see that it has been sorted already. Why it is sorted? Because the keys are sorted. Understand? Because the keys are sorted. Okay. Because the keys are sorted. Then we use this tree map. Okay. Then we use this another tree map. In this example, see what we have is, here we will remove some entries. Here we have 4 entries. Display those, and we use this remove element. Okay. And display the entry set again. Okay. Check this out. We have these 4 entries, and then we use remove which Ravi, and then we display it out. And we have tree map 3, okay, where we have put this entries, and now what we do is we say map dot descending map. This gives us map in the descending order, and we say map dot head map 102. So map that comes before 102, that is available. Tail map that comes after 102. See, the same methods that we used with sets are available, and the sub map. Okay, the same methods are available to us in map. Check this out, and this is how it is displayed. These maps are displayed using what? Using the curly braces. Okay, the maps are displayed using curly braces. So see, if we have descending map, 103 comes in the first, 100 comes in the last. Head map 102, 102. Tail map 102, 203. Sub map 101 and 102. You see that? So this is how it happens. Okay. And then comes map for this is sorted map. Check this out. This is sorted map. We create a tree map object, we add four objects to it, and then we see the head map, tail map, and sub map. Let's see what happens when we use sorted map. So check this out. Here everything is sorted. Okay, so these are some of the examples that you have used, and I have uploaded all these examples on the repository, so all of you can access this map examples. This collections examples are there, where collections class have been used. See, these are some of the utility methods of collection class that you can use. Create an array list, add some values, you can add some other objects to it, right? And you can add some collections directly to, or an object, or an array, sorry, array of strings to it directly. Okay, similarly you have another class where you have a list of integers, and you can just simply say max, which is the max value out of it. So there are lots of utility methods that you can explore in collections class. Okay, fine. So that's it for today, and we complete our syllabus of chapter 11, unit 11. Okay, any doubts, please do let me know. Okay, if at all any doubts, please do let me know. Okay, so maps are always immutable. That's what Harshit is asking. Yes, most of these collections are immutable. In generics, can I write array list of int in place of array list? No, int is a primitive value and integer is a class. This collections are collections of objects, not collections of primitive data types. So that's why wrapper classes have been created, so that even simple primitive values can be wrapped into the wrapper objects and can be added to the collections. Understand? That's the main one of the purposes of creating wrapper classes. Okay, so here we end our syllabus. Okay, and if at all any doubt, please do let me know. Please ask me. Okay, let me stop the recording.